We're doing New York this time. The part of the reason why I started labeling these stops as this whole thing as a tour and each state as a stop is because there are a lot of these states that I can come back to because there's so many artists in a lot of these areas, and New York is no exception. Um, there's a whole other series that I'm working on in the background of all this is going on that's called The History of Hip Hop, and currently I'm working on Grandmaster Flash and Furious 5, which will hopefully be out fairly soon. But that's one of the reasons why I did not include any hip hop in the first go around of this tour, because I wanted to be able to use a lot of those artists. Not that I'm not going to put them in the second leg of this tour, but I wanted to come back and use a lot of those artists to tell a lot of those individual stories. Because I think the whole Queensbridge story is fascinating. So I'm gonna go back and do that later. But right now we're gonna start with this tour. And the first song of this mixtape is Tom's Diner. A lot of people have heard Tom's Diner. It's a great song by Suzanne Vega. What I didn't know after watching a couple of interviews of and like a short documentary about the song, which I think I'm probably gonna link in the description box, is that all the places that she talks about in the song are places that she actually visited in New York. There's an actual diner that is Tom's Diner. And like the cathedral thing is a place that she actually spent a lot of time in. Like there's a whole story behind the song. When I found that out, I was very fascinated by that situation. A lot of the other artists on this mixtape are New York artists. I was surprised to find that Sonic Youth was originally from New York. I knew that Billy Joel was from New York. I knew Simon and Garfunkel were from New York. I included Talking Heads in this go around, and I did not include my favorite Talking Head song, which I'm actually putting on another mixtape. But Once in a Lifetime's a great song, same as it ever was, and that's the crazy thing about I think the album that song's on. Like it has a couple of hits on it. More than a couple actually, and a lot of the ubiquitous stuff is from I think the same album. I think Wild Wild Life is an underrated song, but my favorite song from them is going to come up on another list. So I did end up, another thing I didn't know when I started doing research for this list, I thought they were from New York because they've always had a New York vibe to them. I did not realize that Luscious Jackson was also actually from New York. Now, there are a lot of people that I have left off this leg of the tour. Not just R&B artists, but I've left off a lot of jazz artists. I've left off a few other rock and punk artists, just because I want to come back on the second leg of this tour and discuss those artists and do that. But I did because Bruce is going to show up on another mixtape, specifically the Nebraska mixtape, which I haven't finished. I included Bruce Springsteen and Patti Smith on this list. A, because they're both from New York. B, because I think Because the Night is a song that I'm pretty sure I've done a cover song video about, and if I haven't, I'm going to redo it. It might even be on my other channel, but I've always been impressed by that song because it's a song that Bruce wrote on it's either on the Nebraska album or on the album that's after Nebraska, which might be Greetings from Asbury Park. But it was never necessarily a hit for him. But the crazy thing that I've always been fascinated about this song is it was a hit for Patti Smith, and it was a hit for 10,000 Maniacs. And I've never done a video about a cover of a cover of a cover, which would be, it's almost super meta. That would be the video that I'd have to do for doing 10,000 Maniacs covering Because of That. Because it seems like when I listen to their version that they draw way more from Patti Smith's version of that song than they do from Bruce's original version of that song. But what I love about the version of the song that I included is that at the end, Bruce adds some things from his version of the song at the end that I love how that whole, and U2 plays on it like it's a really good version of that song. I'm gonna leave the last, because the easier ones are short, by the way. The easier states on this list, which are, and this, like I say, goes back to why I'm calling these tours. Florida, fairly easy. I'm actually gonna, right after this video, I'm gonna put out the Georgia stop on this tour, because Georgia came together faster than I expected, and spoiler alert for Georgia, I did not go with the low-hanging fruit on Georgia. There's some easy stuff that you can do, but I also didn't do that here in New York. I didn't use Frank Sinatra. I did not use the updated version of New York, which some people consider in Alicia Keys and Jay-Z's version of New Empire State of Mind. I didn't put Nas's Empire State of Mind, or I didn't put The Message on here. Like I said, The Message is going to be on Grandmaster Flash. So I made some definite choices, and I used, there are two songs that I'm also not going to mention who they're by, because I want people to discover them. One is a well-known song by a well-known artist, some of whose work will appear, if I'm not mistaken, both in the Texas list and in the Arizona list. And I used another song about New York by an artist that's going to appear on the Maryland list and the Nebraska list. So, tidbits, breadcrumbs for people to go ahead and find. And so I'm going to leave I'm going to put that interview that I found about Tom's Diner in the description box of this video. So, that's it for today. I'm getting these in kind of quick because I feel like I'm behind. I'm putting stuff out on these channels. Like, share, and subscribe. There are going to be more states. There are going to be more episodes of the cover song series. I'm working on those. So there's stuff going on. So like, share, and subscribe, and we'll catch you in the immediate next installment of this stop. But next stop, Georgia.